Next, we want the fish to swim around in the fishbowl if there's no food and the mouse is not in the water. So let's go back to 2D view and go back to fishbowl just so we can visualize how we're going to do that. Click on the fish node and let's pay attention to the position. So this time, we just want to work with the position, not the global position, because we'll be moving the fish around based on its starting position, 0, 0. So let's try to move the fish around and see how the position changes. Oh, so if you have a bunch of nodes on top of the node that you want to move, you can select the node here and click on this icon so that you're just moving that node around. Okay, we'll start here, right? And then when it's swimming around, sometimes we want it to move here or here or here or here and see how the position changes. Maybe we want it to move within this range from top to bottom, negative 100y to around 200y, and then on the x-axis maybe negative 130x to 220. Okay, so let's go back to fish, and the first thing we want to do is add a timer. So click on fish, add a child node, we'll do a timer, and we'll call it random position, and then click here to add a script to it. We'll call it random position, make sure it's in the game folder. And all this timer is going to do is that every time it times out, it's going to generate a random position. First, we'll connect the timeout, click on the random position node, check the signals here. Again, this is the signal that we want to use. So func ready timeout dot connect on timeout, and create that function on timeout. And let's already create the variable on top, variable target position, and we'll just set it to 0, 0 to begin with. When the timer times out, first it will generate a random wait time for itself for its next run. So wait time equals random float range. Let's say every 3 to 8 seconds, it will generate a new target position. And then target position equals vector2, and we'll do random values for both the x and the y. Rand f range, maybe around negative 100 to 140. And then for the y value, maybe around negative 100 to 200. Click on the timer node again, go to the inspector, tick auto start. Okay, save that. Then go back to the fish script, get a reference to the timer. So we'll drag and drop, hold down controller command. And now we can do else. And this time we're changing the position of the fish, not the global position. So position equals lerp position, and then random position dot target position 0.02, and we'll do flip fish sprite and copy this random position target position. Since we're comparing it to the global position, we have to add that as well, plus, And let's try that. And there we go. So if the mouse is in the fishbowl, the fish will follow it. If there's food, the fish will go to the food. And if there's no food, it'll just swim around on its own. One last thing we want to do for the fish positioning. So let's turn on debug visible collision shapes. So you'll notice that the fish is moving towards the mouse, and it always ends up positioning itself so that its body is at the center of the target position. But what we actually want is for the collision shape to be the one at the target position. And so what we can do is just go here and subtract the collision shape position. But first we have to get a reference to it. So just drag and drop fish area and hold down Control or Command and add here mouse position minus fish area position. Copy that and paste it as well here. Target food global position minus fish area position. And for this one, we don't have to do it. Okay, let's try this. So now it's the collision shape that's centered on the target position. And same thing when it's eating food. So that's working better. Next, let's just add some extra animation to the fish. So let's go to fish sprite script. And here under the ready function, we can just create some tweens to do some basic animation. So we'll do a variable tween rotate equals create tween set loops, and then tween rotate dot tween property self rotation degrees. We'll rotate it to 6 degrees in 1 second. And we'll do set transition and we'll select sign. And then we'll just copy this line, paste it, and then do -6 in 2 seconds. Okay, let's see what it looks like. So now you can see the fish is rotating a little bit. And aside from that, we can also make it float a little bit up and down. So we'll do variable tween vertical equals create tween set loops tween vertical dot tween property self position y maybe 8 1 dot set trans. Oh, actually, since we're gonna do cyan for all of these, we can just put that at the top and remove it from there. And do the same here. Copy this, paste it. -8 and 2. And let's try that. And I think I'll just add one more line to the vertical tween, just to give it a bit of a more random look. So just copy, paste, maybe let's do like this. And try that. And I like how that looks. But you can feel free to play around with the tween animation until you're happy with it. And let's just see what it looks like as the largest fish image. I think I'll just slow down the rotation a bit. So we'll do 2 and 3. So yeah, so far I'm liking this. Don't forget to put this back to 0. So for this tween, for example, first we created the tween, and then we're making it loop indefinitely, and then we set the transition for all of the tween animations. So this one applies to self, since this is the fish sprite script. This is the self, the fish sprite node, and it's telling it to animate the rotation degrees. It's starting from 0, and it will go to 6 in 2 seconds. And then after that, it'll go to -6 in 3 seconds. And then it will just loop back to the start and repeat this sequence of tween animations. And the reason why we're animating the fish sprite node and not the fish node itself is because in the fish script, we're already animating the position using physics process function. And so we don't want it to have a conflict with this tween animation. So we're letting the main movement animation take place on the root node, the fish node. And then we're doing this smaller tween animation on the fish sprite node. Next, let's just add a little popping sound whenever the fish grows bigger. So click on fish, and we'll add another audio player like this one. Add child node, audio stream player 2D, create, and we'll call it sound pop. And then we'll attach a script. And we'll just use the same script, sound.gd. Open that and load that script there. And then making sure that this is clicked and the inspector panel is available, we can open up the sounds array. And then let's go to the file system and get this sound audio pop and put it here. And then let's go back to the fish sprite script. Click here. Let's create a reference to the sound pop node. We'll do export variable sound pop audio stream player 2D. Save that. And then making sure that the fish sprite node is clicked here. We can scroll up to the top, and now we can assign that sound here. And select sound pop. By the way, in case you've been wondering, how come sometimes we use export to get a reference to a node? And how come sometimes we use the onready variable? And so using export is the safer way to do it. You can use onready if the node is a child node of the node with the script that you're editing. And in this case, I actually made a mistake earlier. I used an onready here, but I should have used export because this node, fish area, is not a child node of fish sprite. Can just delete this. Export variable fish area, and it's an area 2D node. Save that. Now we can assign it fish area. In cases like, for example, if you go to the fish script, we've used onready to refer to other nodes here, and all of these are children nodes of the fish node, so that's okay. But in fish sprite, fish area and sound pop are not children nodes, so we're using export. If you're not sure, you can just use export all the time because it's the safer way to get a reference to a node. Okay, so let's continue with putting in the sound effect. So now we have a reference to sound pop. We can scroll down and we'll do sound pop dot play sound. And let's try that. So it played right away at the start because we did set the image at the start. And there we go. So it has that popping sound whenever the fish grows bigger. Let's remove the popping sound at the start. So we can remove this and go to fish sprite and just change this. Use this one. Try that. Now let's add the same kind of small animation to the food as well. So we can actually just copy and paste this. Copy, go to the food script, and place it here as well. And just check how it looks. So I think that looks fine.